Hi there, my name is Nick, and today, well, first off, I would like to apologize for the crappy audio quality that this video is going to have. I literally just broke my microphone. But today, we are going to do something. We are going to propagate my pink princess philodendron that is behind me here. I'm just going to turn around the camera. So I have this beautiful pink princess philodendron right here. I've been growing this for a couple of years now, and it's pretty tall. As you can see, it's got a lot of stem down here, and I actually just recently took a cutting of this plant, and I still have that one rooting up, but this has just regrown so beautifully. As you can see, all of this new growth right here. So I was thinking what I would like to do is to cut this guy off, cut all of this foliage off, and leave just this one measly pink leaf, because this regrew so well up here. I feel very confident that's going to regrow just as well down here. And in the end, I would like to combine this beautiful plant right here with the other beautiful plant that I have growing and put it onto a moss pole to form just a nice, beautiful moss pole of pink princess philodendron. I think that's just our end goal. And I think today is the day that I would like to go ahead and make this chop. I've been waiting for this leaf right here to get to a point where I felt confident that if I was to cut this plant, it would not affect the health of this leaf, and I think we're at that point. So let's go ahead and cut this plant. So we have our beautiful pink princess philodendron here, and I guess we need to be just a little bit lower here. So let me just readjust the frame. And as I was saying, I have all this growth up here. It actually branched twice. So there's this branch right here that has one leaf, and then of course I just lowered the camera. Let's go back up. So it has that one branch with one leaf, and then it has this other branch here with two leaves, and it's got this really gorgeous leaf in it. People love the pink princess when it does this. I think they call it the half moon, even though I guess there's another one here, although it's really not, you know, the most. I think there's more beautiful leaves than that, but it's personal preference. But anyway, I'm really thrilled with the way that grew, and I would like to, you know, turn those two branches into, you know, two long vines. That's why I'd like to put it on the base of a moss pole. So we're gonna chop this plant. And I'm literally just gonna chop it in between these two areas. I think I'm gonna cut right above this leaf. This is one of the only leaves left on the plant afterwards, but I feel confident that my moss pole that I'm gonna make is going to be much more beautiful and much more worth it than this spindly mess right here. So let's just go ahead. I'm gonna actually remove this. Sorry, my other hand has the clippers in it, and I'm too lazy to take them out of my hand. So I am just going to go in. I'm gonna cut in between these two nodes. You know, you could cut in the dead center. I usually like to cut in like the bottom third. You do want to make sure you leave enough here that you don't cut dangerously close to that leaf. But if I go about right here, that looks good to me. And I'm gonna quickly, swiftly cut. And now I have this cutting of, oops, sorry guys. I have this cutting of pink princess philodendron that I'm having a really hard time showing you guys. What I think is really interesting about this plant is it bleeds red. Of course, we're not in the frame. It bleeds red. I don't want to put it on my finger because it has calcium oxalates in it, which is why your pets also shouldn't eat this plant. It's basically like microscopic shards of glass. And so I could technically remove some more of this. I'm not going to. So what I'm going to do next, I probably should have told you about beforehand, is I'm going to take this jar of water, and I had filled it up with leca or clay pebbles, which is a type of, you know, medium that you can root your plants in or grow your plants in. And you could absolutely not use this. You could just use water if you're doing this yourself at home. But I'm going to just take this, and I filled it up all the way to the top with water so that I can kind of nuzzle the plant in there. And now I have it all the way at the base. And because the water is filled a little high, I'm gonna dump it out. I have a bucket right below the camera, so you can't really see. It looks like I'm pouring water on the floor, but. So I'm gonna just dump a little bit out so that the water's a little bit lower, and now this plant's kind of in place. And I am literally just going to leave this be. I'm gonna put it near a grow light, I believe. That's how I'm gonna do it. I could put it near a window, but not in a window, or just kind of like some mediumly brightly lit area. And I'm gonna let this root up. And fortunately, because of the way that this is, I'll know it's time to root up when I start to see some roots start to come and start growing around the edge of this glass jar here. So I'm just gonna let this root up. It'll probably take a couple of weeks and I will check back in with you guys when it's time. It's been about 2 months since I first started propagating this particular Philodendron pink princess right here that is barely on camera. And I'm not really seeing any roots around the side yet, but we're gonna get in here and see if there's any, because it's been so long. I started doing this on November 24th, 2020, and today is January 19th, 2021. So I feel like there's gotta be something going on in there. And as you might see, this lower leaf right here is yellow, and I believe it has lost one leaf in here, maybe two, but I think just one. However, if I pan up carefully, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this, but the plant has continued to grow. It has put off a couple of beautiful leaves underneath the grow light where I'm growing it. It is winter, as I mentioned. It is, of course, not the growing season, so I wouldn't be surprised if the plant is not completely rooted yet, but this might just be an update, or it might be me repotting my plant today, hopefully. So I filled up this jar to the brim with water. Normally I would keep the water about halfway, but just to make it easier to kind of zhuzh out of here. And okay, so we do have a root going. That is a decent root. Obviously, it's very promising. It's not even on camera, I'm realizing. I apologize. So you can see right here that there is this little bit of rootlet going. It's got all of these little leca pebbles attached to it. Now, if I was to repot this today, which I don't think I'm going to do, I think I am going to leave it for a little bit longer. I can just pot these leca pebbles right up in with the soil. I don't have to worry about pulling them off because I don't want to damage the roots. But this is, I don't know if this is enough root for me to consider repotting it. I think I'm really going to want to wait. This is very promising that it has roots, so I think I shouldn't bother it right now, and I'm just going to put it back in the leca carefully. Ooh, dropping them. And leave it for probably another 3 or 4 weeks, and I'll come back and probably go ahead and repot it. I'm back at it with the Pink Princess Philodendron cutting. It is currently February 12th, so it's been a couple more weeks. So this has been a pretty long project. I can see a couple of roots right here poking at the side of the glass. I think that's all I can see at the moment. Keeping in mind, I am doing this project in the middle of the winter, so this is something that will probably go a lot quicker in the summertime. I filled my cup up, or my jar up with a little bit more water, so we can go ahead and see. And, you know, this isn't the most wild amount of roots. It's still more than we saw last time, of course. And, you know, I really feel like I probably, and of course I'm not even filming it, but I really am starting to feel like I probably should wait a little bit longer. But this plant is growing so actively. If you can see these leaves, of course it's really hard to get on camera the way I'm filming, but it's growing really actively. So I feel confident that with this amount of root, which is more than a couple of inches of roots, that I could go ahead and propagate it. So would I probably recommend waiting a little bit longer? Yes, but it's been like 3 months and I'm getting kind of tired of waiting. So I'm going to take a risk and go ahead and pot this up. Okay, we are here on the floor and I have my 2 cuttings right here, and you can see very clearly how well rooted this one is. This one has literally been rooting up for like 6 months at this point. And this one was the one that we've been doing for like 3 months now. So you can see a very clear difference of how I would like it to look versus how it looks. But because I am planting these together in the same pot, which is going to be this terracotta Berg's pot, you guys know I am Berg's biggest fan, I am not really too worried because this one is so established at this point that I don't think it's going to be sitting in like too much moisture, let's say. So this one I don't think it's going to rot. I think it's just going to continue to root well. I'm also going to use my soil mixture that has a good amount of perlite mixed into it. So this is just plain all-purpose potting mix with perlite added. That's all I'm really using here. So it's a well-draining mixture. I feel really confident that it's going to look really good and it's going to do really well. I also have this moss pole here. This is just a standard coconut coir moss pole. You can buy those on Amazon. That's just where I purchased mine, but I'm sure you can get them at plant stores as well. You're just unfortunately probably going to get the best bang for your buck on Amazon, but I probably should get more because these are stackable, as you can see right here, so I can just insert another one inside and then I can just have it be a very tall moss pole as I do with some of my other plants. And from the looks of this first cutting, it's already going to be at the top of the pole. So sorry, it's a very rough video, as you guys I'm sure are aware of. So I'm definitely going to need to get another one, but for now, this is good enough. So this will be good. So just to start off, of course, we're gonna get our pot. I love Berg's pottery because this is not an ad whatsoever, but this is the saucer that comes with it. And I love that it's like a matching corresponding saucer. So I just love that they have such attention to detail. And also the planters are just so magic. Every time I'm planting something very special to me, I always want to put it in a Berg's pot, because not only is it very high quality, but the plants really seem to love it. So of course I need a nice planter for a very nice plant here. So getting started here, and have to mention again, it's literally not sponsored whatsoever. I just really like their stuff. So now I'm going to, what do I want to do first? See, I normally am putting these into the plants after I have them for like a year, because I'm like, oh crap, it's gonna need something to climb up. So I don't think I really want to start off with this in there. I just want to be mindful about where it is. Oh gosh, I don't know. You guys probably know better than me at this stuff. But I'm going to remove this little bit right here, because this is where a leaf once was. And then situate this. Yes, I'm going to leave the leca, or the little clay balls, on the plant, because it's been growing that way, and I just don't want to remove it from that. So I also am going to try to loosen up some of these roots to make sure they're not in the center of the pot, only because I'm going to be stabbing that wooden stake through, and I do not want to be stabbing these roots because they are very special to me. So I can just get that situated. And I'm gonna add some soil. Just doing the big one first because it is much more well-rooted than this other one we have here. So let's go ahead and make some room for our other friend here. Kind of get it in there. This is gonna look so good. I'm gonna struggle to show you guys what it's going to look like. I'm gonna pick it up. So we're gonna have this one plant, one's kind of facing that side, one's kind of facing this side, and I'm gonna put the moss pole in the center. So I'm making sure I leave enough room. And of course, we're gonna have to get situated again. Of course, this is, I'm sure I've said 5 times already, but this is a very, very rough video. I'm just trying to get the point across, demonstrate so you guys get the idea. Okay, so I think at this point, before I get too ahead of myself, I'm going to carefully add the wooden stake. Okay, there we go. So that looks so good, and once again, of course, I'm gonna have to show you. I still have to fill it up with more soil, but you can get the idea. And of course, I'm going to use some plant tape to get them to there. But this is just the rough idea so far. So we're happy with how it's looking. Could I make the pole a little bit more centered? I could, but you know, sometimes it's all about a little bit of character, you know? But maybe I will judge it over just a little bit. LOL. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Let's just quit while we're ahead. Just give it a final little layer, and of course, just gotta make sure that our moss pole is not leaning in a direction. It can be off center, but I don't like it to be leaning, because if I'm gonna continue to tower them on top of each other, then that's just gonna be a problem in the future. Not looking for the leaning tower of Pink Princess over here. But I think this is where I'm gonna call it on the soil. Of course, this is just a horrible angle. Once again, give you guys kind of a better view. It's not a good view by any means, but it's a better view. And then I'm going to grab from behind me here, and just reach up and grab some scissors. That's a screwdriver. Can't do this while I'm hooked up to the microphone. Okay, so I have what would be scissors, but they are plant shears. Still work. Just usually like to try to only use them for plants, but it's not gonna be a big deal. I'm gonna get some of this plant tape here. This is Velcro plant tape. You can get this from usually any plant store, any hardware store, or of course online. And I'm gonna make sure I get enough of it to wrap around the whole pole. I'm gonna get it at a point that I'm happy with, which is kind of, you know, a little lower down on the plant. Of course, as the plant grows, I can raise it up higher and then just kind of get the plant. I don't want to like wrap any of the petioles because I don't want to like strangle them, so I'm kind of trying to be careful to get like the plant stem in particular, and then I just want to kind of firmly grasp it. I want to firmly get it on there. Doesn't look amazing, but it gets the job done. Once again, not a great view, but enough for you to get the idea. Of course, I will give you a better view of this once I clean it all up and water it. But what I'm literally going to do next is go ahead and give this plant a very, very good watering, because of course this plant has been living hydroponically in a sense, because it's been growing in water and now it's in dry soil, so it's not going to be happy. So let's go ahead, give this plant a lot of water. It's going to have to acclimate over, so I'm going to make sure that I give it some good light as I let it acclimate to its space. Honestly, I have no idea where I'm even going to put this, but it is gorgeous. But before I get too ahead of myself there, I kind of want to go over to my pink princess plant that I took these cuttings off of to show you guys how that's fared in the 3 months after I have taken cuttings off of it. So back over here in the plant corner, we have our pink princess, and of course this is the leaf that was there before, starting to get a little tired, but we have this new growth right here. So put off this little baby leaf at first, then this little tiny leaf, and now we have this other leaf coming in that's a much better size. So I'm really happy to see that. And not only that, just like how my other cutting branched, I have this little branch down here. So that's not really that active right now. It hasn't really done anything. But what I'm thinking is, after this leaf is nice and developed, I'm going to go ahead and actually cut this plant. Oh my gosh, so much honking going on right now. I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and cut this plant down here, because then I have a nice third cutting, and then that will cause this a little branch right here to just kind of like spring into action. So then this plant can regrow. I'm honestly not that married with this pink princess at this point, because of course now I have that beautiful moss pole of it. So I think that's the one I'm going to be paying a little bit more attention to now. But of course I can use this plant to steadily create more and more pink princess philodendrons for myself and my friends. Alrighty, here she is in all of her glory. She's looking fantastic. I love this leaf up top, but I know everyone else is going to be very into these very, very heavily half moon variegated leaves right here. They're so gorgeous, but I really hope that this inspires some of you out there who have pink princess philodendrons or other philodendrons that are a little bit more hard to find or get your hands on, to go ahead and chop them. I know that it's hard to do, trust me, but you can see very clearly right here that within 6 months, I turned one plant that really wasn't doing it for me into 3 plants. And I basically have a 4th cutting on the way, but for legitimacy reasons, I have 3 plants. And perhaps I can go ahead and add that next cutting I take into this pot and fill it out even more, or I can go ahead and trade it to someone for another plant. And that's the magic of propagating your plants. You either have some to trade with people, or you have some more for yourself. So it's all very, very exciting. This is a very, very easy plant, so I'm really excited to watch it grow up the moss pole. I'm sure I will have to stack it, and maybe one day it will be as tall as my philodendron red emerald right here, which towers above me at this point as a very, very easy growing plant. But I can say the same thing about Pink Princess here. So super excited to try this out. The vision is fulfilled. I think it looks even better than my vision was. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope this inspires you out there, or at least hope you learned something. Thank you guys so much for joining me in this venture. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram at Philly Foliage, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great day.